people knew who this Rustin character was from back then, right? But a lot of folks didn't. It was almost like a big secret what was going on. You know, the whole thing about the communists and everything. So it is my conclusion, especially from I have to say the forensic investigation. Irritated Genie also, that video that we saw, a portion of it, you know, this War on the Horizon did a very good job in presenting forensically, right? That means like a public, you know, almost like, it's like the grand jury is going on right now on a lot of these things that we believed as black people, so-called black people, for 40 years. Now, 40 years later, we learned that this black goy or gay guy, this homosexual, right? This guy right here, Bayard Rustin. Now, all the poison that lurks in the mud is coming out to really, the poison is coming out to finally explain, because so many of our parents and other people, they really believed the lie for the 40 years. But 40 years later, it's really coming out that it's him, Bayard or Rustin. This is him. You know, he lives to be old and gray-haired, and everybody else that was really real, that we knew publicly that was real, either gets assassinated, gets killed, gets murdered. It gets to be used as a pawn, and he goes on. And now the homosexual, Obama's, you know, many of the white liberals and homosexuals that supports the so-called first gay president, blah blah blah, have come out the closet recently to really, you know, say that, well, he was one of theirs. And he's responsible for organizing the civil rights movement. And basically to say that if it wasn't for him, King would not have been anything. In fact, he's the one that persuaded King to become an apostate to his so-called black Southern Baptism, the so-called Christianity, and go and follow Gandhi, a false god who worships false gods, into pacifism, right? Pacifist. But, anally raping a man, anally raping a woman as well, but in the sense of what we're speaking about right here, anal rape, I don't know what's so pacifistic about that or so peace-loving about that, But anyway, that's just I. Right, so here, this is also good. You really got to check out Irritated Genie's video. So hail up to Irritated Genie, because when we did our video about the dream, Dr. King's dream was not even his own, right? That was from some information put out in a CNN, in a CNN report about Dr. King's secret papers, and was found out that, the I have a dream, that part was some beautiful blonde hair, blue eye, white lady that had mentioned her dream, and that was told to King, and King wanted to put that in the speech, and all of his fellow Negro civil rights leaders were like, no, don't do it. And basically he did it, and a lot of them would say, oh, expletive deleted. You can see the vid that we had did, but that was at that time. It's like more information is coming out. This is that Bayard Rustin. Now, while I'm going over this right here, and this is going to be somewhat, I'm not going to even say it's controversial. I think it's true, and some might make a controversy, but Bayard Rustin, right? It's our conclusion that Bayard Rustin and gay Edgar Hoover were in cahoots. Right? Just as we're learning that behind this whole civil rights movement and this going down to Egypt, or maybe you could call it going down on Egypt, or bending over for the American obelisk, and the rape of Black America, the feminization, the sodomization, if that's a word even, is because of this particular Bayard Rustin, right? Whom some of us have heard about him over the years, but we could never really prove what we had heard. You know, that basically he was the one that got Dr. King into this nonviolent shit and into this Gandhi shit and got all this homosex shit also on Black people. It reminds me of when the Bible, when Balaam was called by Balak to curse Israel, and he couldn't curse Israel. But what he taught to Balak, I think the Midianite Moabite king, what he taught to him was that if you can get the people to curse themselves, demoralize them, right? And this is the sort of demoralizer. But I think these two guys, because both of them were gay, well, homosexual. See, the whole gay thing, that's a mind fuck right there. It's a spell. It's a witchcraft, you know, because you get the idea of gay, look it up, it means happy and everything like that. Well, he definitely seems to be happy, right? Because he achieved his objective. But you know who ran cover for him? It was gay Edgar Hoover. I know some of y'all say, no, because we've seen the FBI papers. He kept tabs on Bayard Rustin, He kept tabs on him. And was talking about his lewdness and how he was having homosexual, white sex, deviant sex, sodomite eroticism with white males in the back of a car. That's what he was caught for. They say he was arrested, he went to jail because he was standing up for the movement. Yeah, he was standing up for his homosex movement. But you know who also was a homosexual? Gay Edgar Hoover. Isn't that very interesting? Isn't that very interesting? So this connection, a lot of these so-called conscious Black folks, hotep niggas, they haven't made this connection just yet, right? They really haven't made this connection just yet. I hope that they'll do their research as well and see this obvious connection, because things that we've been talking about, this particular individual, right? A lot of people didn't see, you know, a lot of people didn't see those things. Now that the homosexuals can come out the closet, you know, with Obama and everything like that, they can now proudly say that it's because of Bayard Rustin, and he's the one that, you know, inspired King, and, you know, or really gave King that. They said behind every successful man is a woman. You get where I'm going with that, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that that's what King was, but notice something. Notice something. The obvious thing that he could have done, this guy right here, gay Edgar Hoover, right, would be to associate King with homosexuality, but he was only against King for his heterosexuality. Yeah, you could say that it was adultery, infidelity, so forth and so on. But him being a so-called homosexual, coming from that same point of view, or so-called Judeo-Christian point of view, he's also in the hellfire too. But what does he do against this Bayard Rustin character, who's also a homosexual, who liked to have sex with white men? And you know, many of these homosexual white men who are racist and so forth and so on, like gay Edgar Hoover, also like to have sex with Black men. You see, why they oppose the Black Power movement is because the Black man says, stop bending over. It's time to stand erect, stand up straight, stop bending over, stop bending from the front, stop bending from the back. And see, they're afraid of that. So Bayard Rustin is so very important in this spiritual Egypt of Negro folks and in our waking up from the dream. Because we were thinking that it was King. It wasn't King. And notice, now that the homosexuals say it was all because of Bayard Rustin, right? That King's dream and King's speech and the march and everything went off so well, because we know what he was doing, you know, the secret connection that Bayard Rustin was making. So he had a lot of white boys bent over too. You have to understand. So the connection, you see the connection. You know what I mean? Can you see the connection between gay Edgar Hoover, who was a cross-dresser? He was a cross-dresser. These are all known things today. They were known then, but Mr. FBI, Mr. Faggot Bureau of Investigation, you know, who was so hot against King, calling King a degenerate. You know, he's a degenerate. Really? He's a degenerate. But gay Edgar Hoover, cross-dresser, is not. And Bayard Rustin lives to be old and gray, right? And really in his latter years, he said, no longer is it about black people and this black civil rights kind of stuff and everything. Now it's about the homosexual thing. That's what's, and the Gandhi, you know, and throwing a little bit of Gandhi there. Anyway, I just wanted to do this particular vid right here. There's some more ideas, but this is really breaking news. I mean, for some already, I'm sure some already knew this. It makes me think about my earthly father, God bless his soul, because he was talking a lot about, you know, how he lost a lot of respect, you know, for black men when he really found out what some black men were doing down low, as it were. You know, I always thought like, okay, yeah, there's so-called faggots and punks and stuff like that, but why are you talking about this so much? You know, and now I begin to recognize, when we now recognize what was really going on. So when you're looking at all those civil rights, black and white videos and everybody arm in arm and stuff, and, you know, you got to know what was really going on. You know, what's going on? Yeah, exactly. What's going on? So here we go right here. Here's another picture of him right here. You know, see, old and gray, full head of hair. I always wonder why some men have full head of hair, some go bald and everything. You know, I guess that's another vid for another time right here. Okay, they got this video, Brother Outsider, which really exposes that. But if you really want to get the real expose, I would say check out Irritated Genie's video on the war and the horizon. And if you can check out I video about the MLK and the Dream. What was that called? Forget the name of it right now, but it should be up on I channel, Rastafari, Sabbatical. Get it, because, you know, if we really hit on to something, they're going to try to hit us up and try to really suppress the information. Or maybe they're so emboldened. You know, Satan falls because of pride. So they might be so emboldened as they are now to basically come out the closet and say, hey, you niggas owe everything to our gay nigga, you know, our homo nigga. You know what I mean? But I say these guys were all in bed right here. These guys were all in bed, you know, because they play the divide and conquer. I mean, no pun intended. You know, want to know how deep the rabbit hole goes? You could look at Bayard Rustin's career. You know what I mean? Look at how whole people missed the promised land and missed that time and opportunity, right? Because of the false prophets. You know, the false prophets. These men were in cahoots. Look at the title right here. We are one, right? We are one. He was an agent. Bayard Rustin was an agent, right? Don't doubt it. You know, if he was a significant threat, you would never see him to get the old and gray, and now they'll bring him out the closet. He was their secret agent, man. I think Bill Cosby, in that thing he used to, I Spy, I think that's what that was about right there. The I Spy was about Bayard Rustin. I don't know what relation these two had, you know, physically, directly. I know spiritually, you know, they were both about that iniquity. You know, they were both about that spiritual Egyptian Sodom, you know, sodomy. They both were on that right there. Right, and they both were undermining their respective camps, you know, because the Luciferian, the Satanistic agenda, right? I know this might be above some of y'all and this gullible nigga right here. I mean, it has to be said. Maybe he was going to say something at the last, but he basically didn't, you know, and a whole generation, you know, a whole generation might have gone to hell because of MLK, right? Behind every Behind every strong black man is a sodomite. Oh my God, no. Behind every Uncle Tom nigger, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what's about. But these two guys were in bed. Let me just show you them again. I just decided to look up both their pictures. You know, let's look up both their names together and see if any picture will come up, and boom, there you go. That's a screenshot. You know, Gay Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, Bayard Rustin in bed together. Ideologically speaking, yes. I don't know about the other one, but if it went Bayard's way, no doubt about it. And, you know, Gay Edgar Hoover admitted, well, I don't know if admitted, but, you know, we saw the picture. There's the pictures out there, him up in the dress and stuff like that. I don't know if Bayard was into that or he just liked the manly man. Anyway, half of the story, brothers and sisters. Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah hath prevailed, to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Shalom, Rastafari. Wake up from the dream. The dream is a nightmare. Presenting forensically, right? That means like a public, you know, almost like, it's like the grand jury is going on right now on a lot of these things that we believed as black people, so-called black people, for 40 years. Now, 40 years later, we learned that I have to say the forensic investigation, Irritated Genie also, that video that we saw, a portion of it, you know, this War on the Horizon did a very good job in the poison's coming out to finally explain, because so many of our parents and other people, they really believed the lie for the 40 years. But 40 years later, it's really coming out. This black goy or gay guy, this homosexual, right? This guy right here, Bayard Rustin. Now all the poison that lurks in the mud is coming out to really, some people knew who this Rustin character was from back then, right? But a lot of folks didn't. It was almost like a big secret what was going on. You know, the whole thing about the communists and everything. So it is my conclusion, especially from